Tomorrow to this dinner. Well, in the meantime, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm fixing a great big huge pot of collard greens. Now, they're freshly made. I bought them like last month for Thanksgiving, but I bought so much, and after I washed them and cut them up and washed them again, and I put them in freezer bags and I put them in the freezer, and then since we're having the Christmas dinner, I thought, I'm not going to go buy anything. I'll just pull something out of the freezer and fix it. So that's what I'm doing. I had some ham base, and I had some, I don't know how everybody fixes their greens. A lot of people don't fix greens, but I do. And so I like a little pork in mine. And I don't know, like at Thanksgiving, after you've eaten all the ham that you're going to eat, there's that bone, and then there's those big chunks of fat that nobody wants to eat. I always take that and put it in a freezer, put it in a freezer bag and stick it in the freezer. And then when I fix like pinto beans, homemade pinto beans, or greens or green beans, I pull some of that fat out and put it down in my greens or my pinto beans or my green beans to give it that flavor. It gives it such a wonderful flavor. And then, of course, I add a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder, and I chop up an onion and put down in there. And sometimes I put just a little bit of red pepper. Like I like fresh pepper. Like I cut up, I'll go buy the red and the green peppers, and I cut them up and I put them in my freezer. So then when I go to cook, if I want it a little bit spicy, I'll take a little piece and I'll cut it off with a piece of knife and put it over in whatever I'm cooking. Well, I put some of that in my greens so they have a little bit of spice, and then I add just a spoonful of sugar to kind of cut that down some. I got that from my mom. My mom used to add a spoonful of sugar to her greens whenever she would cook them. And I don't know, it just gave it this wonderful flavor. So I put some ham base, I put some pork fat, I put some peppers, some fresh red and green peppers, and then I put some onion powder, and I chopped up some onion and put in there, and then I put some garlic powder, and then a little bit of salt, not too much, just a tiny bit, and put it in the pressure cooker and turn it on. And I had so many greens, which is why I'm still up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to put them in the pressure cooker, let it cook down, and then put some more in there, let that cook down. And so as soon as that cooks down, I'll put some more in there, and then that'll be the end of it. So that's why I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I have been going. And then I thought, I just wanted to call you guys and listen at me like I'm talking on the phone. I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys and just, let you know the kind of day I've had. It's just been a really wild, crazy kind of day. Now, tomorrow is going to be a little more somber, a little more mellow. We always laugh and joke and have a great time after church when we fellowship with one another, but nothing like today. Today was a little bit crazy. And when I came home tonight, I really wanted a glass of wine. And normally I would have a glass of wine. However, since it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if I had a glass of wine right now, I would not wake up in the morning and I would miss church. So I decided not to have the wine. Even though it's in there calling my name right now, I decided, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and cook these greens and just kind of straighten up the living room, get the kids' toys up out of the floor and put them away and just kind of relax a little bit and be silent. You ever think sometimes you've got so much stuff going on and so much noise around you and so much noise in your head? Do you ever think sometimes it's just really good to hear the silence? Oh my goodness, that little bit of silence, did you hear it? Wasn't that wonderful? I mean, sometimes you just get tired of hearing the own sound of your own voice. I sit, and I'm like constantly talking. I love to talk. If you haven't noticed, I think most people that have a podcast because they love to talk. And what better way of getting everything out in the open, all your ideas, all your frustrations, all your anxieties, because you're not the only one. And so, you start a podcast because you have something to say and you just want to say it. And then you realize there are so many people out there that want to hear it. Because that lets them know they're not by themselves. The Bible says what's common to one is common to all. Well, it's true. The things that we go through, the experiences that we have, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, you feel all alone. Like nobody else can possibly be going through what I'm going through. Whether it's something happy, whether it's something sad, whether it's something exciting, whether it's just something weird, whether it's something crazy. I mean, whatever it is, trust me, there is somebody else out there going through the same thing. I guarantee it. It is not anything new. It may be something you've never experienced. It may be something that is new to you, but it is not something new in the whole spectrum of things and the whole spectrum of everybody in the world. Somebody has been through that situation. The only difference between you and that somebody, whoever that person is the people. The people make the experience different. The people make the experience unique, and it makes it all on its own to you. So when I had my experience today with going from this crazy day that I've had, it kind of reminded me of that movie. Do you guys remember the movie 4 Funerals and a Wedding, or 4 Weddings and a Funeral, or something of that nature? It kind of reminded me of that. The only difference is it was, like a funeral and a birthday all in the same time. And I thought when I was, I kind of stressed myself a little bit over this whole situation yesterday, because I thought all day yesterday, and I didn't sleep very well that night, Friday night, all day Friday, I thought about this, and Friday night, I thought about this, and I didn't sleep very well, and I was stressing myself because I was thinking, okay, I've made 2 commitments. One, my very best friend has lost her son, her firstborn. Now, she has 2 sons. Her name is Karen, my best friend. Her name is Karen, and she has 2 sons, and she lost her oldest son. And you want to know something that's really crazy? Her son, his name was Alan, And my son, my only son, and my oldest child, his name is Alan. Now, of course, my son Alan, that's his middle name. And her son Alan, that was his first name. So, and we did not know at the time because when she got married and when Karen got married, and I remember when she got married, I knew her husband, but they moved and we kind of fell out of touch. And then I had gotten married and we moved out of town. And so we lost communication for a little while. So we didn't know each other had gotten pregnant and named the child Alan. So when we finally got back together and we ran into each other again and we picked up right where we left off, because remember, Karen is somebody that I met, I think I was about 4 years old. So let me kind of interject a short story here. So when I was about 4 years old, my mom, who is a single mom, I've kind of told you stories about some of the things that she used to do for a living, such as she was a cook. When I was younger, she was a cook. She worked at a diner, and then she also would cook out of her home, and we would have people that would come by because she was on what's called the Chitlin circuit. Remember me telling you that? Well, we had in our house, we had a basement, and it was a full basement. And my sister and I had fixed it up as our playhouse. My mom had given us a sofa and a chair, and we had a TV. It was like a little black and white TV. And yes, back then there was no color. We didn't know what it was to have a color TV. We were just happy to have a black and white one. So we had this little black and white TV, and we would go downstairs in our playhouse, and we would just, have teas and play with our dolls and do all kinds of crazy stuff down there. Well, my mom, one of the people that she used to, a patron that she used to cook for, at the diner where she worked, he and his wife were having an issue. And so my mom, his wife put him out. Don't know what happened. But anyway, he got put out one weekend. And he knew that my mom had this room basement apartment downstairs. And it wasn't like a fully functioning apartment, meaning it didn't have a kitchen, but it did have everything else. So anyway, he came and rented the apartment downstairs, or rented our basement out. And in the midst of that, one day I saw him, and he said to me, and at this time I think I was about 3 or 4 years old, and he says, "I have a little girl your age." And I said, "Oh, great. I want you to bring her so I can play with her." So he did. He brought Karen, and I got to meet her, and she became my best friend. We've been knowing each other since I was 4 years old. So back to jumping ahead, when we were all sitting around and talking and everything, and we were talking about our two Allens, because like I said, we did not know that we were going to name our children the same. It's so funny because they have had, up until this point, parallel lives. And which kind of brings back the point that you're not alone in the things that you go through, because her son Alan had gone through quite a bit of finding himself, And my son, Alan, had done the same